Hey everybody, welcome back to Bible Basics. I'm George Willett, the youth and family minister here at the Westport Christian Church, and we are continuing our study on the Sermon on the Mount. Can't believe we're at lesson 13. Wow, it's going to be a little bit more. So we're going to continue breaking down kind of section by section, just go over this and get us thinking about what Jesus is doing here. Now, as always, the Sermon on the Mount, please keep this in the front of our minds. This is Jesus coming and teaching, proclaiming, this is what the kingdom of heaven is like. This is what it is like to be a citizen of the kingdom of heaven. And this is important because the people Jesus is talking to, the Jewish people of his day, they loved God, they were serving God, they were trying to obey the commandments, they were trying to honor God, and they were anticipating with great excitement the coming of the Messiah. They wanted a conquering king. They wanted a physical Messiah who would bring the kingdom in a very, very physical way with a sword, beating the Romans up, kicking the Romans out, and then giving them a kingdom just like King David, their greatest king. Like his kingdom will be reestablished. So when Jesus comes and begins teaching the way he does, he is flipping everything upside down. We can't miss how radical it is when he talks not about what's going on physically, but he talks about this change of the heart and how the change of the heart brings about the physical changes that are necessary for God to be honored in his kingdom. So let's pick up. Chapter 6, we're going to do the first 4 verses. And Jesus says, "Be careful not to practice your righteousness in front of others to be seen by them. If you do, you will have no reward from your Father in heaven. So when you give to the needy, do not announce it with trumpets as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and on the streets to be honored by others. Truly I tell you, they have received their reward in full. But when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your giving may be in secret. Then your Father will see what is done in secret. He will reward you." Okay, lots to go on there. First of all, righteousness. I titled this Righteous Giving. Jesus says, do not practice your righteousness in this way, in this very outwardly focused way. In the Bible, righteousness is used in a couple of different ways, and you've got to understand the context. So first of all, righteousness, this right standing with God, this positional thing, is something we receive from Jesus, that through his death, burial, and resurrection, through his sinless, perfect life, we put his righteousness on. He is perfect, he is sinless, and he is the only one that can stand before God and not be condemned. But the Bible also, and Jesus is using this righteousness also in not just our position with God, like this state that we're in, it's in what we do. It was your behaviors, it was your thinking, how you thought, how you felt about things. And Jesus says, listen, there's a right way and a wrong way to do all of this. And he says, what you don't want to do is practice your giving like we're called to give and to serve those who are in need. If we have anything, it's not like we have to be rich. It's not like we have to make a ton of money. But when we see someone who is needing something, we give. But we don't give like the hypocrites. And it's really interesting because the word there, hypocrites, it was actually this word that was used in Greek theater, like an actor on a stage, someone who wore a mask. And when they were doing dramas, they would have these different masks that they could wear. That was a hypocrite. You're up there on the stage in front of everybody else, performing and pretending to be someone you're not. And Jesus chooses this word to lash out. That's not the best way of putting that, but he's doing a commentary. He's making a commentary and condemning these people who are so focused on doing it for the wrong reasons that they're acting. That it's not real. It's not something that's sincere, authentic, and part of them. It is them performing on the stage of life. And they're going to be seen. And they're going to be blowing their trumpets, and they're going to be making all sorts of stuff like, look at me, look at me. Look at what I'm doing. Look at how good I am and how generous I am and how wonderful I am. And Jesus says that's the wrong way to give. That's not righteous giving. That when people say, oh, look at how generous this person is, and look at how loving and how sacrificial, and just they care about people. You've received your praise from men. You've received your reward. Don't expect a reward in heaven from the Father. But then he goes on and he says, okay, so you're going to give this way. Don't let one hand know what the other one's doing. You're going to give in secret. Now, this is kind of weird because I think people oftentimes take this way out of context. I mean, Jesus already said in chapter 5 that we are to be light, that people are supposed to see us. So this is not that we're going around like ninjas and no one sees anything. It's more about the heart attitude. It's more about your attitude, your thoughts and feelings, the internal person. That when we're giving authentically, when we're giving with a righteous intent, I'm not looking to be seen, and I'm not going to let my hands know I'm not going to get puffed up. I'm not going to get all excited and feel like, again, this is anything about me and counts as righteousness for me. Like I'm a good person because I do good things. No. I do this because it's the right thing to do. I do this because this is what a kingdom person does. If I really love God, if I really want to serve, then I'm doing it because of Him. I am honoring and glorifying God, not myself. If I go around with this hard attitude and I'm not trying to bring attention and, be seen doing, I call it vacation mission work. Like sometimes you'll go on missions and it's really about feeling good about yourself and having a fun vacation. And we're going to help the little kids, or we're going to help people. We're going to paint the playground for the 50,000th time so that every group that comes in has something to do. But we're not really making a difference. We're not really meeting the needs of the people. The physical needs, the food and the clothing, and yes, definitely, but the deeper needs for love and compassion and respect, and to give them the good news of who God is. When we understand what righteous giving is, when we have that heart to sacrifice, to put God first, to put the needs of others first, and to not need to be noticed, acknowledged, patted on the back, have the good picture, have the t-shirt. I mean, listen, and I'm not saying like going and helping people is a bad thing. It's not. I'm not saying that getting a t-shirt that says, hey, mission trip 2022, whatever. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm not even saying putting some things on social media and just acknowledging what God is doing is bad. It's the heart of the person that's doing the giving. And as believers, we should really check ourselves out, and we should be humble enough to admit, if I put myself first, which is what I want to do most often, it becomes about me, not about God. And so Jesus, the Sermon on the Mount, please don't miss this. This is a radical restatement and re-understanding of who God is and who we're supposed to be in right relationship with God. Jesus teaches with such authority, and we'll read about this. He teaches with such authority, with such sincerity, that he just shocks people. And maybe we don't quite hear it the same way today, but I'm telling you, keep reading the Sermon on the Mount, listening to what God is calling us to as a people, as his people. And you'll see the kingdom just a little bit different. All right, God bless. We'll see you next week.